Please, what is that? Don't tell me. It's all in the Reflexes.
You're listening to All in the Reflexes, an unrepentant vivisection of geek news and culture.
It's all in the Reflexes.
With the comedy rock geek Mikey Mason, the Brack of all trades Jeb Brack, Madison Metricula Roberts, and tech guy Steve.
It's all in the Reflexes.
I know, there's a problem with your face.
Hello and welcome to All in the Reflexes. I'm Jeb Brack.
I'm Madison Metricula Roberts.
This is Tech Guy Steve.
Oh, the sands of time are passing through my hourglass by the time you are hearing this, you people out there. And God willing and the creek don't rise, I am the dad of a college graduate. My oldest daughter graduates from Columbus College of Art and Design. It's at once incredibly thrilling and incredibly terrifying.
Congratulations. I remember meeting your daughters, I want to say middle school maybe? Or high school?
Oh, yes. When we were in Massachusetts, Nora was in middle school and Pat was in elementary school.
Wow.
Yep. And now Pat is graduating from high school, and I'll make an announcement to that effect, probably next time. But, yeah.
Wow.
Nora's the first one. Now, Nora's been on the show once or twice. You all have heard her voice at some point. But, yep. And she is also at once thrilled, terrified, and exhausted.
Oh, I'm sure. I bet those last few months are brutal.
Yes,
Does she have any job opportunities lined up or anything like that?
Not at this time. But, once she brings her stuff home, then there's nothing standing in her way from getting that dream job, right?
That's right.
I always feel like, especially when people graduate, or I have a lot of friends that change jobs, or they quit jobs, or they lose jobs, and it's like, I try to be really careful about not asking people how the job search is going, because it's always bad. It's always bad until you have a job.
Yep.
But
it sucks
college
until
grad,
it doesn't.
That's the one time you can really ask people. Or that it's less of a faux, because it's that's the whole gist of it. That's what you want to know, right? What do you do next? It's
that's what they are, and that's what they are doing. That is all that they are doing is looking for a job. Yeah. So we will see. We will see. In the meantime, she's doing some design work on the Random Encounters Omnibus edition that's coming out that I've talked about once or twice or a million times on the show. So she's got some projects, but. Madison, what's going on with you?
Well, by the time you hear this, the Twitch music fundraiser I've mentioned a couple times, the streamer song swap called Saving Music Live, which benefits the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation for supporting music education in schools, has been underway. And so even if you're hearing this after the end of May, you can still go to twitch.tv/savingmusiclive, and we'll continue to take donations toward the charity. And after that point, the album that we're promoting as a perk for donating during the month of May will also be available for free online. You can tell I've been doing my pitch here. And so you can visit twitch.tv/saving music live to either donate or to get that album for free. Plus, you can get a copy of last year's for free at that little hub. But we started Monday, and I actually kicked off the performance marathon. So we all streamed on this channel in 2-hour relay blocks. So I went first thing, 9 a.m. Monday morning. And by the end of last Monday, and every Monday in May, they're doing 9 a.m. to midnight of just music performances back to back. But on the first day, our original goal was $5,000. On the first day, we've already raised $2,300.
Wow.
So we're almost halfway. So it would be amazing to crush that early. And 100% of it goes directly to Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation. We're using Tiltify to process payments. So other than just the normal PayPal transaction fees, all of it just goes straight to them. There's no middleman. We don't collect it. I'm really excited. It's been a lot of fun. We did a lot of collaborative work. We each recorded a song, someone else's original song. And on mine, I got a friend to play bass, and now I'm working on some other songs collaboratively to, like, I have a friend that's, like, in California that's playing drums on a track, and, like, it's been really, really good for just as a community thing, but I'm gabbing about it. But for me as a budding sound engineer, it's also been really interesting because, like, I'm just getting so much more comfortable with the equipment. So real positive experience all around. Keep kids, give them guitars so they don't do drugs.
Very good. Very good.
So, hey, I just hopped in because I'm a jerk, and I've been away for a long time. But because you guys are awesome, you keep this going, and I love you for it. So where were we? We were in the personal update section.
Did you have
so
anything
who
you
was
wanted to
updating?
plug?
Well, I had an album come out. What is this month? In the last month or so, Driven came out in the last month or so. You can go to MikeyMason.com and find the Driven album. And then my Patreon patrons have been getting a workout because I've been making sure I'm posting something recorded weekly. Usually it's a cover song. This week it was The Story of Tonight from the Hamilton musical, which is a 4-part song. Well, 4-part and the entire company chorus at the end, and I did it in the voices of Muppets. So it's
and it was indistinguishable from the real thing. Let me tell you,
it was really good, Mikey.
My wife came downstairs and she was like, "Oh, what was that?" I said, "That's Mikey's new song." And she said, "Well, how did he get the Muppets?"
Yeah,
no, that was all Mikey.
Well, that's awesome.
It's hilarious, especially if you love Hamilton the way we do. It's tremendous.
Thank you. And I was just, I threw it out there on taking Jack to school. I was getting ready to take Jack to school. I threw it out there on Facebook. I said, hey, if I were going to tinker around with a cover song, what would you like? What should I do? And a friend of mine, Tanya, said, I love it when you do Hamilton. And so I started looking at Hamilton and the stuff and I was like, I really love the story of tonight, but man, that's 4-part. Now, what I would have ideally loved to done was get some of my musician friends and did 4 parts like me and the Humdingers and Valentine Wolf, Sarah from Valentine Wolf, and did a story of tonight that way. But it happened all that morning. By noon, it was posted.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing.
So I settled for, I can do Muppet voices. Let's do this. And, anyway.
Excellent. And Steve, before we were so graciously interrupted by Mikey, what's going on with you, man?
I've discovered a subreddit called HFY. It's an acronym for Humanity F Yeah, where
yeah, positive.
Maybe the F stands for fantastic. Who knows?
Oh, right, we're not swearing now.
It's genre fiction. It's short stories. They say that you could put it in video clips, but I've only ever seen little short stories in serialized fiction. Science fiction, fantasy, it could be anything, but most of it seems to be science fiction. The only connecting premise is that humans are awesome. And so it reminds me a lot of that book we talked about, the Humans Wanted anthology.
Yeah.
Which was truly delightful. I mean, from y'all's recommendation, I actually read that with the book club that I run, and it was just, what a treat. A lot of those people are going to be people to watch.
Yes.
As far as
I 100% agree. Yeah. So this is I checked the dates. I was like, did this subreddit come out after that? Like, no. It's been around for years. It's got like 72,000 subscribers. A lot of it's the stuff you'd expect. It's like humans heal rapidly, humans can walk extremely long distances, humans pack bond and loyal and are fierce, and on and on and on. A lot of it seems to be like military sci-fi, touting how awesome humans are, especially as an ally or a friend. And some of it is
situation stuff, kind of.
Yeah, I've read a few that are fantasy, and those are actually kind of funny. Whatever, demons and wizards, are ticked off that a human got involved and ruined the whole plan. It can be a bit much. It's a little bit like, patting yourself on the back. But it's a great antidote for all the No Sleep podcast horror I've been listening to. So if you want to
I'm still mad because I didn't know that was a horror podcast after you recommended. Because I listened
thought
to
it was like
people,
soporific audio. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And it was like, oh, can you not sleep? Listen to this podcast. And it was like, oh no.
Nope, it's to help you. Yeah.
Hoffman stuff. I'm not going there.
Yeah, so when you want to get your head out of
sleep. Yeah.
kind of the cosmic horror headspace and into something a little bit more positive, HFY is a fun way to do it. And of course, because I was having so much fun, I actually submitted my own story.
Yeah.
I'm not bragging, but it does have a really, really super cheesy punchline ending that I'm proud of. That's not something I love. One commenter just said, "I snarked." I'm like, that is an appropriate response.
All right, so we need to go. So you're saying it's a challenge to go hunt down your injury? I don't know if your username is.
No, I've got the link here. I'll throw it in the
Okay.
show notes. It was called Hazard Beacon. It was just done in fun, and I wrote it for the punchline, obviously, when you see it. So that's it. It's a fun thing to read.
Excellent. Well, what do you say we get on to some of this week's news?
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
You may not believe this, but this week we don't have any in memoriams. So we're glad about that. We do have a near miss, though. Terry Gilliam suffered a minor stroke recently, just days before the verdict on his movie Don Quixote came out. They were trying to get it shown as the closer at Cannes Film Festival, and I think that there was some legal wrangling going on with one of the people involved, trying to prevent that from happening. But so Terry Gilliam is 77 years old. He is fine, and he is recuperating at home. So let us hope that the movie doesn't continue its curse and do something even worse to him later.
Right. Yeah, but the irony of trying to get the movie made for well over 20 years, and then
exactly right.
I was at. I had the privilege of playing the guest of honor banquet at Dragon Con, my second year at Dragon Con, and maybe it was my first year at Dragon Con, and Terry Gilliam was the guest of honor, and so I got to technically eat dinner with Terry Gilliam. I was a table over from him, but I got to eat dinner 20 feet from Terry Gilliam.
And take those name drops where you can get them, dude.
And Peter Weller was there too, but when you have Terry Gilliam or RoboCop,
wow.
I don't want to bash Peter Weller, so I'll stop talking about him. But Terry Gilliam, when he got up and talked, he talked about the long journey towards making Don Quixote. Even then, and this was a few years ago, and this is just one of those things that, man. How do you? I hope that this is, I hate that he had a stroke, but I hope this is what it takes to get him to be screened as closing film at Cannes.
Yeah.
The pity
let's hope that's not what it takes.
Hey,
let's hope that
take the pity when it's what it gets to get you what you want.
Yeah.
Preach to that, man. Right. I'm on board. Like whatever. I am for sale.
Yeah, he doesn't need the pity, but he deserves that movie spot right there. So let him have it.
Yeah. So I do want to mention, talking about making things, Adult Swim has finally ordered more episodes of Rick and Morty, which I like Rick and Morty. I don't like a lot of fandoms. I don't care for the vocal fan base. Necessarily, but people celebrate things the way they celebrate them. But the exciting thing is that this order is actually going to carry them over the about 100 episode syndication line, which a lot of, especially these cartoons, shoot for to be able to be in syndication. So one of the things that the creators mentioned was that it was difficult to motivate themselves to work on new episodes because they have a kind of Game of Thronesy fan base that's like, when's the next batch? Why are you appearing here? Why are you doing this? Why are you not?
Why are you attending conventions when you could be writing episodes?
Right.
And where's our Oriental chicken sauce?
Yeah. Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland does the voicings, but I don't know. So I like Rick and Morty fine. I think it's funny and clever, but it has that problem where it has the Fight Club problem, where there's a lot of people that interpret it at face value and not at the sort of the way I interpret it, which is Rick is a pitiable figure. He's got the world at his effing feet because he's so smart, and he's like, I don't need emotions, I don't need family, and he's like wrecking his entire life and the lives of everyone around him, and he's a complete
and he's
jerk.
miserable.
And he's miserable, and he's making everyone else miserable. But then there's a subset of people that see that, and they're like, this is the smartest man in the room. This is the man to be celebrated. He doesn't waste time on
They see him as an aspirational figure rather than a cautionary tale.
And that's the thing with a lot of media, and it's like we've talked about this before. Like, as someone who makes things, it's like you don't have control over how people interpret things, and it's like, I don't know, it's just weird. But anyway, I like Rick and Morty. I think it's really clever and funny. I think it's regrettable that some people interpret it that way. But I mean, that's also their prerogative because it's a thing that exists in the world. But it's also my prerogative to write screeds online about how wrong they are, which is time honored. So
I have a story here about art theft. Sometimes it's really hard to envision art theft because what would you do with a famous piece of art? Because you can't then, sell it openly, and you can't display it openly unless somebody report you. But of course, the piece of art in question here is the original Iron Man suit from the first movie in 2008. Someone has made off with an Iron Man suit valued at $325,000. Woo. Yeah. It went missing from a storage facility and was only just recently reported missing, but they believe that it was stolen sometime between February and April. Way to narrow it down, fellas. So if you see that turn up on eBay, that might just be stolen.
Really?
that guy with the really bitchin' Halloween costume. Yeah. Has its white fit.
All right, Dragon Con, we're watching you.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. A cosplayer.
That's amazing. That's movie quality. Thanks. I worked really hard on it. Getting it out of a storage facility.
So I think, best case, like, this is obviously an opportunistic art thief crime, but talking about crazed fans, apparently, at one point, a crazed fan, whom I would call a stan, which in fandom circles is a stalker fan.
Ah, okay.
Once held William Shatner's underwear hostage. So reportedly, Shatner says that he was in a hotel and when he came back to his room, his underwear was gone, and somebody had been in his room and stolen his underwear. So a woman, like, then, and this is creepy that she knew where he was, called his hotel room and said that she had all of his underwear. I assume it's all of his underwear, not just like his prized. I feel like William Shatner's probably a briefs person, but I don't know. But I'm just
something like gold lame briefs.
Yeah, like do it. He can do whatever he wants, and everybody be into it. So then she said that she would only give him back his underwear. So I assumed that it was either a special pair or most of his underwear until he signed memorabilia for her. So he agreed and met her in the lobby. And then apparently she had a lot of stuff, and he was like, I'm not going to sign all of that. And then reportedly, she said, well, sign this, opens her shirt up, and then flashed him and just ran off. And then he apparently, like, grabbed his stuff and was just like, peace out, I am out. So,
he said he ran. She opened her shirt, but he ran.
Right, you're right. He ran. And which is a reasonable thing to do. So listen, I am a fangirl. I love things, and I love them in obsessive ways. But the first, like, there's Wheaton's Law, and then the subset is like also just don't be a creeper. And like sometimes people have trouble figuring out where that line between a creeper and just being like really nice or really attentive is. Sneaking into someone's room and stealing their underwear is a real easy line not to cross.
Yeah, but see, sometimes it works. I mean, I stalked Mikey for weeks after I first met him because I was just so into him. And look, now I'm doing a podcast with him.
I mean, story of me, like, I was like, I see someone more famous than me. I will. One, I'm into it.
Still, by the way, don't have my underwear back.
You never signed all that merch. I'm sorry. And that was the deal.
Listen, I don't know if you got
poor
the memo.
Shatner, because you just know that the reason he was so worried about it is because it had all his trusses built into it. You know?
Well, I'm just a fangirl that made good, y'all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, here's a story about a sequel I actually want to see. It's 2017, a movie came out called Hitman's Bodyguard with Samuel L. Jackson as the hitman, Ryan Reynolds as his AAA rated bodyguard, and Samuel L. Jackson's girlfriend, Salma Hayek. And so this new movie is called The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. And if you've seen that movie, you know that Salma Hayek's character is one of the funnest in the movie.
Yeah.
She's just brutal. She's got a mouth on her. She intimidates and scares everybody, including the guards. It was actually much funnier than I expected. It was fun to watch, kind of dumb, violent fun. And she was definitely kind of stole the scenes that she was in. So the fact that she's kind of the center of the next movie sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Yeah, that's one that I didn't make it to because I didn't yet have my movie pass.
Oh, okay. It's on cable now, so I mean, it's on the rotation, so whatever that's worth.
I got it from a red box because I knew that nobody in this house but me had any inclination to see it. And so I got it when I had some time. And none of my friends wanted to watch it with me, so it was like, look, it's not high cinema.
No.
This isn't...
Nobody expected it to be. Nobody expected it to be. But you know what? Right. It also is not. It also is not Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And yet, not only did that one get a sequel, but it is confirmed that they are coming back for the third in the series. We're going to get Keanu Reeves. We're going to get Alex Winter. We're going to get the princesses who they married in the first movie, all coming back. Is
that where the "be excellent" thing comes from?
Yes. Yeah, there's only one appropriate response to that, and that's excellent.
Obviously, I'll watch it, but aren't those dudes in their late 50s now?
Well, but that's kind of what the plot is that they have spent their whole lives waiting to write the song that is going to unite the world in peace and harmony, and it doesn't happen.
Oh.
That they are older dudes stuck in, dead end jobs, and their wives are working night shifts at Denny's, and they're
princesses.
Things just didn't happen the way they wanted them to. And then somebody else comes back from the future, because obviously it can't be George Carlin, but somebody else comes back from the future and says, "Look, you were supposed to have the song done by now. If you don't have it done in 24 hours, that's it. The future is screwed." And so they have 24 hours to write that song that's going to turn them into wild stallions and unite the planet. I think that's an interesting way to go.
It is.
If they handle it right.
People aren't watching this for the plot, surely.
No, right, exactly.
Well, no, but I mean...
Wait a minute. I've got reams of notes. I've got Trapper Keepers full of Bill and Ted diagrams, time travel paradox.
I would love to see your PowerPoint on this. I would legit like that.
With the red thread between the push pins.
I'm sure Tumblr is on this hard, even though it's kind of like Tumblr, I think, probably skews slightly younger in the generational divide. I've never seen Bill and Ted. My husband just told me, I asked him if it was good. He said it was excellent, and he camel cased it. So I assume that at least it's a cultural touchstone.
Yes.
Okay, what number are we thinking of right now?
I swear to God, if I can't make an episode, I got to get Richard on and just have him Gen X with you.
You don't like Bill and Ted? Bogus.
Bogus.
It was also very much a thing of its time.
Well, yes,
which is fine.
It's definitely a time capsule.
So it's like a
80s.
Period piece.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go with that.
All right, so
okay.
You know how they say that if you put an infinite number of monkeys in a room hitting keys on a typewriter, eventually you get Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bill and Ted is one of the drafts before that.
That's awesome. So speaking of monkey art, we've covered it on this show before. There was a famous court case involving a monkey selfie.
Oh, yeah.
Because Wikimedia included the photo without attribution to the photographer he sued. They claimed that because the monkey itself took the photo. No one has a copyright.
Right.
And he said, no, because it's my camera. I'm the one who found and developed the picture, and I created the situation that allowed the monkey to do this. It's mine. Yeah. Whatever. We've covered this. It's interesting because it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, they're turning into a movie. Like, wait, what? And that's it. Condé Nast Entertainment has bought the life rights for David Slater, the photographer who won that court case. And they're going to base it on these magazine articles that covered it, blow by blow, the controversy, the court case, the aftermath, the precedent that was set, the whole thing. I don't think it's going to be the next 12 Angry Men, The Post. But it's definitely legal. It's definitely a legal drama.
Well, and here's the thing, because this is what irks. It was PETA. It was People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals sued on behalf of the monkey. Sued on behalf, I think was it a macaque? Is that what it was?
Yes, yeah.
Sued on the behalf of the macaque because its rights were being infringed on. Now, this has nothing to do with this monkey's life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. This monkey gave zero craps about, zero poop flings about this image. This monkey probably didn't even know it had taken the picture.
No, clearly the photographer that owned the equipment and developed the photo owns the rights to the thing, right? I mean...
It's not saying he owns the monkey, but he owns, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he owns the right. It's like if you were a model for somebody. I mean, the photographer owns the rights to the picture.
Yeah, but to be fair, models sign contracts.
That's true.
Right. Yeah, the monkey can't
consent.
Fair. My cat can't consent to all of the pictures I take of her.
And
I almost called her it, and my husband listens, and he would be upset if I called the cat it. It's her. We're very specific.
The cat probably never would consent.
No, they're not here for us.
Even now, the cat lawyer is plotting his revenge.
Now that would be a fluffy, wonderful sci-fi kids movie. A cat lawyer that's mad about that's the plot of Bee Movie, right? Like the bee was mad about the exploitation of bees, so they sue.
Yes.
And it's which is bizarre and kind of wonderful. It was a terrible movie, but it's
bizarre. It's bizarre. It's
yeah. I'm just gonna let that go. I'm letting it go.
Sorry,
I'm letting
that
go
was
of my
a stinger.
anger.
You can't just let that go. As a stinger.
I found a new therapist. I'm not letting this bother me. We're good. I'm good. We're good. That was very good. I see what you did. I validate and recognize you, and we can move on.
And we're gonna move on now. We're gonna go trash some trailers.
This will make for one epic trailer.
So have you guys seen this? It's called Cartel 2045. It's got a lot of the things I really enjoy. It's got robots. It's got robots shooting people.
It's
got Danny Trejo.
That's very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched it and could not believe what I was seeing. I mean, this is just B movie. We were talking about B movies. This one is an honest-to-God B movie written all over the thing. It's called Cartel 2045, and it features Danny Trejo as a drug lord or warlord who has military-grade robots as its guards and enforcers. So it's like having Terminators, wandering around doing the drug enforcing. And the effects look terrible. I'm sure the story is awful. But, robots with gold bling, that was pretty cool.
Power Rangers was awesome.
I think it's purposefully awful. I think it's purposefully the best that 1989 could give you.
No, I think it's a little beyond that, but they're doing their best to make the CGI look like it was made in 1989.
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of like the premise, though I don't think this is what the maybe the original author had in mind.
But like the idea that
a drug cartel has so much wealth and connections that they're able to get military grade weaponry and then use it in their ongoing fight with the authorities. And it's kind of cool sci-fi idea that there's these automated, drone soldiers and. But man, the voiceover and some of the acting just in the trailer do not fill me with hope. And you saw this still I took. The robot it's kind of blinged out.
It looks like Goldar from Power Rangers.
Yeah. Crazy.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that
armor.
in a, like, I'm in, you know?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Danny Trejo's made quite a few stinkers. He's made a zombie movie before. He's made others that are like...
I think he just likes to work.
I'm telling you exactly how they pitched this movie. It's Scarface meets RoboCop. They walked into a studio. They said, I got a movie. They said, what do you got? They said, Scarface meets RoboCop starring Danny Trejo. They said, you just got a movie deal.
That's awesome.
Shut up and take my money.
And now they're really disappointed with themselves.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends on how much they put into it. I'm sure it could make back the money just on the bad movie circuit. I can't wait to hear about it on like the Flophouse or How Did This Get Made? But
or Red Letter Media. Something about a review.
But you know what it kind of reminded me of was like an evil version of Chappie.
Yes. Yep.
I like kind Chappie a lot, actually. I know it got canned somewhat, but I very much enjoyed it.
No, it was awful.
It was like I was reading fan fiction that was written for me. Which is how I felt about Jupiter Ascending. I mean, like, there's all this kind of stuff. It's like, you know, there are different strokes for different folks, right? Yeah. I did not mean to say that so weird. Like,
I didn't learn until a couple years after seeing the movie that the actors, or at least a couple of the actors, were the South African group Die Antwoord.
Oh, Antwoord, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. It was so. I was in. I'm in. This is like it was like fan fiction.
Yeah, but nobody ever got a Cartel movie made by saying it's Scarface meets Chappie.
No.
But they've got other movies made that way.
Scarface meets Short Circuit. What?
It's Twilight, but there's abusive BDSM. Like weirder things have happened. So we're living in a beautiful golden dawn. That's not true.
Video games.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So let's find out what budget bin games Madison's been playing.
Big fun.
Small price.
All right, I've made mistakes in my life, and listen, I have a queue. So I buy a lot of times these Steam, particularly Steam games or Humble Bundle games. I buy batches of them on sale. Like especially if they go 50% off, 75% off. And most of the games that I try to review here are $5 or less. So if they go 75% off, it's like, oh, it's so cheap. It's like I just go ahead and pick up, like, I'm like, all right, I have $5. I'm going to buy as many games as I can with $5 during this sale. And there's so many that are 50 cents, 99 cents, 25 cents, 40 cents. Like, it's crazy. Or Humble Bundles where it's like, well, if I give them 30, I get like 20 games, and some of them are good, So I'm like, okay, this is fine. So I don't know where this came from in my queue. It could have come from anywhere. This is a thing that's happened to me before. I'm like, I don't know why I have this game, but I had apparently already downloaded it. So at some point,
this game ended up in your queue because you had apparently listened to Can't Sleep.
Oh my gosh. So it's a lot. There's a lot has happened. So I'll get to it. It's called Don't Chat with Strangers. It is an indie puzzle horror game. I would call it a roguelike in the sense that you repeat the same scenario and you have to remember certain steps in order to proceed. Mm-hmm. But it's not like it's turn-based in that sense. It's Windows only. It's $5. It was developed by one dude whose name I cannot pronounce and I'm not going to try. Borowski or something. What the heck did I play? So I didn't read any reviews about this. I just saw it and I was like, okay. And I went to the store page to check the price. That's usually the only thing I check if it's a game I don't know about or I'm not excited about already. So I played it. I recorded some footage of it. I started it, and the music is really scary. The music was really scary, and then I was like, I don't even want to load this onto my screen capture. So I called my husband, because, like, we have a 3-story townhouse, and the bedrooms are on the top floor, and that's where he was, and I'm in the basement, where I have my studio set up. And so I was like, Richard, can you come down here? So he comes down here, and he sits with me so I can start the game. And then I finally load the game. Okay, so you go through these scenarios where the game starts, you're driving down a road, and then it fades to your bedroom. And late at night, you're in your bed, you get a message on your computer. And this is all pixel, very like 8-bit graphic, crude graphics. And you get a message on your computer. It's like an old school, like CRT TV, monitor. And you go and you answer it, and it was some woman, and you can see her little profile pic, and you talk to her for a while. And if you respond wrong, you die. You die. So like, if you leave the if you leave the conversation too soon, it says, she's like, well, whatever, forget you. And then it's like, Lucy 1 has left the room. And then, like, the screen, like, flashes, and I captured some of this, and I was just like, F, no. And and then, like, you wake back up, and you've been hung, and written in blood on the wall is, you left me. And then I was like, and Richard was there, I was like, oh my god, okay. So then we just started the scenario again, and then she's like, oh, do you want to play the game Buttons? And you have a game, and it's like, okay, so you play it, and I'm like, oh my god, wait, should I let her win? And, like, I look over at Richard, and he just, like, nods. He's like, yeah, let her win. So I let her win. But then I, like, her ghost comes, I guess. And first the ghost just comes up behind you and gives you a light hug and dissipates. And then later the ghost comes and slits your throat and rips your head off. And then I was like, okay, we're skipping talking to the woman. We are going to, and there's apparently, so anyways, I'm not giving away endings. It's just, so then I was like, okay, well, you can interact with some objects in the background, and there's one with the bed that I don't want to say so that Steve doesn't have to bleep stuff in the podcast. But if you click on a cabinet, a little black thing crawls and goes to your bed, and it just looks really weird. And I was like, okay, so I click on the window, and then I leave my computer, I walk out the window, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm escaping my room or something, and you climb out of the window, and your car is in the driveway, and that's the only thing you can interact with on the screen. So I click on it, and then the car goes into reverse and runs over you, and you die. So basically, if you don't complete the scenario perfectly at any point, you die. So you have to keep replaying it from the beginning until you can proceed in the narrative. So I stopped.
So it's just like Dragon's Lair.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. In the sense you just have to memorize the proper moveset. In this case, it's usually text responses. But it's like, or interactions with the background. So I played, like, I think through 4 or 5 restarts, and then, like, something really scary happened, and I was just like, I'm out, I'm not doing it. And anyway, so I recorded that. I need to, the link will be live by the time the episode goes live, including me calling my husband to come downstairs, because I'm just not okay with this. But anyway, so this is $5. This was $5. I don't know how much I paid for it, but on the site, it's for $5. I cannot imagine. I know that this game isn't for me, right? And I can recognize not everything is for me, and I can evaluate it on those merits. But like, this just seems like it should be really cool. Like you move through it, and it's like if you don't complete the steps the right way, you don't complete the narrative, and you die. But it's like it's just so. I think it's bad. I know it's not for me, but I think this is one of the ones that I've played that I just really, I cannot, I would play this for free, but I cannot imagine a scenario. You have to be really interested in this to play it for $5.
Yeah.
So my budget, Ben, this is a trash it. I cannot imagine a scenario. Like, again, it's not for me because I'm a baby, but like, I think it's bad. Like, I think it's objectively bad on a general spectrum, as much as you can critique art in that way. So it's pixelated. It's called Don't Chat with Strangers. I wouldn't play it.
All
Just
right.
throwing that out there. But you can watch me be disgusted and horrified if you want a different kind of, like, torture situation. So.
Well, very good. So let's hear from Steve and his weird anime fetish.
スティーブはとってもくだらない人でアニメを見るんです。What weird anime is Steve watching this week?
Fetish, huh?
We've moved up in the world. Lots have changed, Mikey, since you've been here.
Yeah, well, not that much. Apparently just terminology.
I watched a 23-episode series called Ergo Proxy. Does that sound like a random collection of unrelated words?
It does.
Why, yes.
Because it is. The show is pretty stylish. It looks good. It has some really intriguing ideas. The setting is basically like, thousands of years of the future, post-apocalyptic. Humans live inside of domed cities. The atmosphere outside is poisonous. Humans have like AI robots that follow them around. They're called the Entourage. So every human has a robot helper. And in this kind of forced, idealized society inside the dome, a strange creature appears, running around, killing people, damaging robots, and it's the Proxy. Okay. The beautiful protagonist is named Ria Mayer, and she's got this crazy blue eyeliner look. I posted some of the pictures on our Facebook because I had to show people. Again, the only character in the whole series with eye makeup, so I'm going to take that for what it's worth. And she kind of interacts with this like hapless, bumbling immigrant trying to become a full citizen of this dome, named Vincent Law, and then he's got this little child companion robot named Pino, who's super cute but a robot. And then stuff happens. The scenarios were, I thought, pretty cool. The initial idea was really cool. The story was progressing as kind of a mystery unwrapping. What does Vincent have to do with the Proxy? Why are they seen in a similar situation? What is going on? And there's this cogito virus that seems to be uplifting AIs to have, full free will, but then they often become violent. So what's going on with that? A lot of cool ideas. On the other hand, way too much pseudo-intellectual philosophizing. They just go on and on and on about the nature of this and God and man and the earth and the future and the past and I'm like, I tuned it out. It doesn't mean that much. They had one episode, I was just like, WTF, man. It was a game show where they had to play a quiz show called I Want to Be in Jeopardy! The name of the show.
Okay. That's...
So if you don't get 1 million points within 30 minutes, they kill you. But it was a method to do an info dump so you'll understand the setting of the series. And it comes in at like episode, I think, 15 or something. So it's almost halfway through the series. And then they never explain how they got into that game show, how they got out, or how it in any way relates to the story. It was literally like this weird discontinuity. Let's just jam it in episode 15 and move on. That's bizarre.
Wow.
At one point, without giving too much away, but someone launches an ICBM and in order to kill a specific person, like I know where he's going, I'm going to nuke that entire city so that I can stop him. And except they never tell us, but they never tell us where the missile goes, and it does not kill the character he wants. The character he's trying to kill just watches it fly overhead, and at no point do we find out where that missile went. And I'm like, what? Why would you not mention that? And talk about the pseudo-intellectualism. This is Japanese, but they use some European, French, and English words and phrases, and they use the I'm not gonna say it right, like raison d'être.
Sure.
I've only seen it in print.
Yeah, it means your single reason for being, your most important thing. And not only do they use it over and over again, but there's one specific episode in which they must use it 8 or 10 times in a 24-minute episode. And I'm like, really? Are you going for some kind of badge? You're gonna,
so when I was
you get a sticker
in theater in college, we used to have these. We'd pick one. This is bad. You shouldn't do this. But one show a run, we would pick a word, and that would be the word that we would insert into our dialogue.
Yes, I've heard of this. Yeah.
So it just reminds me of that. Sanctuary was one of the ones that we did in one, and it was just everything was just and I feel bad because that's not a good thing to do, but it was very fun.
Yeah. So maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe the writers gambled and
voice actors were just all right, y'all, we're done.
Yeah, can we get this French? A lot of the episodes near the end felt a little bit like filler. I didn't really see how they were advancing the story. And then I get to the end, and it was very unsatisfying. You're like, really? You don't really explain anything. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's kind of weird sci-fi setting, but you're dealing with God and Gaia and angels and the future of humans on a spaceship and the ones left behind on Earth. And I'm like, how does any of this fit? And then it kind of ends with, well, now the real fight starts. And I'm like, what does that mean? I've just watched 23 episodes of you.
Like, are we not?
I don't know, man.
Yet? Didn't we, like, nuke someone? I mean...
Yeah, so it seems to be one of those anime that's more style than substance, with some really cool ideas and some extremely likable characters. I was invested in the characters. But then they didn't know where to go with it. And so they inserted filler and then kind of wandered off the cliff because they had no ending in sight. So I can't fully recommend it, but I mean, if you got nothing else to do, watch Ergo Proxy and check out that eyeliner was on fleek.
It kind of sounds like it kind of sounds like you're describing our show, Steve. Some likable characters. They don't really know where they're going. They just kind of wander off. And so, if you're going to wander, I came back. If you're going to wander with us, why don't you wander over to There's a Problem with Your Face, where we're going to go next. Steve, how can they find us there, man?
aitrpodcast.com. That's our website. We have show notes for every episode. You can also listen to the episodes through the website. We have links to the movies. We have links to the video games that Madison reviews. And, of course, we have links to social media like Twitter and Facebook and Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get twice the unhinged ranting insanity. And shadow, eyeliner, smoky eye makeup tips also could possibly be in there.
Yeah, well, Steve will have that. I'll take care of the way too much pseudo-intellectual philosophizing.
I'll say raison d'etre at least 8 times.
On fleek is usually an eyebrow thing, but I'll take smoky eye. As the arbiter of millennialisms, I'll accept it.
I hope you'll come over to There's a Problem with Your Face and see all that. Until then, I'm Jeb Brack.
I'm Madison Metricula Roberts.
I'm Mikey Mason.
And this was Tech Guy Steve.
And we'll see you later.